Welcome back to Can You Hear Me, a podcast about hearing, hearing loss, and everything in between. I'm here today with Dr. Jussi Jaatinen, postdoctoral researcher at the University of Helsinki and oboe player for the Helsinki Philharmonic Orchestra. Dr. Jaatinen, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for invitation.
Yeah, of course, and it's a pleasure having you on the podcast. So, to start our discussion today, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I'd like to know a little bit about what inspired you to play oboe for the Helsinki Philharmonic and also take up research at the University of Helsinki.
And then I was 11 and my father suggested me that could I start to play oboe, and I asked why, and he said that it's very bad level in oboe playing in Finland and you could help that problem, and then okay, at that age I didn't understand the point, but I started play oboe, and then through my teenage years I practiced a lot, and actually I started my professional career quite early, about at 19. After the long career in orchestra, 2000, I realized that maybe I could do something else also in addition to orchestra work, and because, well, when you have played a long time in the orchestra, you have played this basic repertoire so many times that there's not so much new to achieve, and I have always been very interested in scientific matters, and I thought if there could be some topics in somehow related to music that I could investigate and study, and after 1 year I succeeded in going in as a doctoral student in University of Helsinki in musicology, and I started my studies in fall 2014, and actually one thing led to other thing, and then after half a year I found myself in department of psychology. I made some studies in musicology about, for example, studio technology and signal processing and audio electronics, and then when I received this cochlear implant, after that I have been in contacting a lot with David Landsberger, and actually we just submitted an article to Seminars in Hearing, the special issue which will come out, I think, in fall, I hope. Our topic was why speech success but music doesn't, and why it's difficult to hear music well with cochlear implants. And it's actually very complicated topic, and I share my experience the first year after implantation, and
I'm wondering, how does your experience being a music researcher and an orchestra player, and you said you have perfect pitch, how does that kind of work with having a cochlear implant, and how have your experiences with that been?
Well, it's not any bliss to have a perfect pitch with cochlear implant, but actually it doesn't disturb that much, because when I hear bimodally, it means that I have one electric hearing and one normal hearing ear, and then I could say that my normal ear, it dominates the overall experience that much that it somehow tricks my brain to think, okay, I hear correctly also in my cochlear implant side. But if I stream directly to my implant, then I understand what is the reality
Yeah.
in hearing music only with cochlear implant. And I could say that now after 1 year and 4 months, I'm quite sure that, because what are the limits of the technology now? And the problem is that our auditory system can't receive that information correctly. What this cochlear implant produces. For example, in cochlear implant, we have a depending on the manufacturer and even models, we have a 12 to 22 electrodes, and they are basically they are meant to it's a different places corresponds to some frequency, and that's the one way how our auditory system try to find out frequency or which pitch we are hearing. And the other theory is the time theory, and it's calling rate pitch. And the problem with the place pitch in cochlear implant is that it's so sparse, this sampling. So because in normal here we have a 3,500 hair cells which are directly connected via synapse to auditory nerve. But in cochlear implant we have only 12 to 22 in cochlear's device. But in every case, it's despite of number of electrodes, we have it's a physical limitation. We have actually about 8 to 10 independent channels. And if you compare it with 3,500, so we have a quite a big limit in how we can separate these pitches from each other. The other problem is that the electric current it goes everywhere, not directly.
Focus.
Yeah, it doesn't focus, and it's a problem. It's like you try to touch the very very small area with some big ball and try to make it precisely. It's in music perception is that whatever places those electrodes are, they are in wrong places if we are talking about musical tone, because the normal musical, we have a fundamental frequency and then we have a harmonic overtones, which are integer multiples of this fundamental. And if they are exactly in the right places, then we hear the fundamental and timbre, and then the amplitudes of overtones they change. If we change amplitudes of overtone, they change color of the tone or timbre, but not pitch. But if they are not in correct place, then we don't hear any fundamental and timbre. Instead, we hear fundamental and noise, or even we can hear separately those overtones, and very bad for music perception. But in speech, hearing speech, it's a different, because it's not so big problem in when we hear speech. It's not, the pitch is not so important. It doesn't matter if it is 100 hertz lower or higher or whatever, and also those so-called formants what we have for separate different vowels. It's quite tolerant also, and it works. It's far from perfect, but it works, somehow works, and it's possible to understand speech only with this. I remember when I had this so-called activation, it was about 3 weeks after the surgery, and the first day I try listen to audiobook, and I understood it quite well, and
Wow.
I even could say that if it was male or female, and I even recognized the reader, because it was a quite famous actor in Finland, and I asked, this could be that guy, and then I check it, and yes, it was great.
Well, thank you very much for, taking the time to do an interview today. I really appreciate it, and I think we've had a great discussion.
Yeah, and one more thing I would like to say that is that with David Landsberger, we have a plan to try to investigate maybe a new coding strategies in cochlear implant, which could be better for music perception, and try to find also if there find a solution for this conflict with electric stimulation and receiving capability of this auditory system, that we could somehow deliver to this information to brain, so that we could increase this range of useful frequencies for music. Bass, it will be on rate coding, or so-called time coding. That's the only thing, because this place coding, it's out of question. It won't work. It was
Well, thank you again for joining
nice,
me,
nice,
and
nice
hope you have a great rest of your
to
day.
talk about this very interesting topic, and it's always a pleasure to tell my co-listeners, CI users, about my experiences, if maybe they can help somebody to understand better what is going on.